So I want to dive into gratitude, discipline, and feelings and this sort of thing. I was inspired by Sugar Sean O'Malley, who is a UFC fighter. I was watching one of his latest YouTube videos with another superstar in the UFC. He goes by the name of Israel Adesanya. And his conditioning coach, I believe, at the end of their workout, emphasized gratitude. And I thought this was really cool. So this is sort of the baseline of this conversation as we go for our walk. I hope you enjoy the walk and you enjoy the dialogue. Let's get it. So I think that, you know, these particular qualities are extremely important. Like, as I was, excuse the vehicles in the background if you could hear them. Raw, very raw. One moment. To block the license plate. Since I'm doing this, I want to just block people's license plate. Anywho, as I was watching these UFC fighters, right, pretty much at the top of their game, right, these are, you know, pretty successful people, and I just thought it was so cool and so neat to see that Sean's conditioning trainer, again, I believe that's who it was, just had them kind of just relax and take things in. And be thankful for things, because, you know, right now it is so easy to be negative about things, and there's a whole lot of reasons to be negative about things today, right? Whole lot of things. It's very easy, but to make the conscious decision, I still gotta saying that word, to be like, all right, what do I have that somebody doesn't? Now, life isn't fair. That's just the truth. It's not fair at all. Get very comfortable with that. It is what it is. There's nothing you or I can do to change that, right? Life is not fair. So let's say, I'm gonna block the license plate right here. Let's say, I don't know, you have a job, which I'm thinking about doing a whole video on that right now, because jobs are crazy right now to even get. Even if it's not the most high paying job, you have a source of income that the next person doesn't. You can save up to do something to potentially better yourself, right? Let's say you have two hands, two arms. I have one hand, which I have on video right now. I was born with one hand. Let's say you have two eyes, two ears. Somebody is deaf. Somebody is blind, right? Be thankful that you have what you have, because the way that I see it is, if you can breathe, there is still hope, right? There is still, I'm gonna cross over, there is still something that you can do to better your current situation, right? Which ties into resilience, which I think is very important today. Resilience, you know, think about that for a moment. Resilience. I don't really hear that word too often today. I recently heard it because I was talking to a friend. I went to a one of my childhood friends' dad's 70th birthday, and she's been going through some personal struggles on her own, right? I'm gonna kind of show you guys the sun real quick. And anyway, she says she's like super resilient, and she always has kind of been like that. And I was like, I don't know, I just kind of, that kind of stuck to me. You know, that kind of stuck to me, because I'm like, that is such an important quality to have. And think about the people who don't have that, right? Because again, it's so easy to just be like, all right, I'm done, I'm giving up, I'm tapping out, you know, unaliving yourself. And I'm just being completely honest with you guys. I've felt all those emotions. I've felt it all. But I think about, you know what comes to mind for me when I feel like that? I think about like King David. That might sound corny, King David, but in the Bible, it's pretty neat, his story. There's a point in his story where he literally had to build himself up with the word of God. Like, he had to strengthen himself with God's spirit, of course. But think about the kind of character that takes, right? Like, most people do not have that kind of character. That sort of character separates strong from weak, and it really does. I really mean that. You have to have that kind of character. You hear me? You have to have something that continues to push you forward. You literally have to be a prisoner of hope. You hear me? A prisoner of it. And find ways to better your current circumstances, especially in these times. Right? Especially in these times. Things are getting so expensive, you guys. AI, and that might sound kind of corny, but I mean, it's just the God honest truth. I was looking at a YouTube video. Where it was about China and how they have developed these like human robots, right? Like policeman human robots. And they were talking about how, and they were showcasing it. It looked really cool. Check that out. How they could replace people and of course basically just be like policemen but are robots. So those are jobs being removed from actual people. We gradually see it. They also developed this really cool like mini creature that can like maneuver through mountains to check for fires. I always like the oranges right here. I don't know if you guys can see them. And so, yeah, you know, they even got robots, like sex robots that are up and coming, probably already here, I'm sure. And you can just kind of see, if you kind of like open your eyes and look at where life is headed. I think of iRobot. iRobot, right? Will Smith, the Will Smith movie, you know, where they had like, and if you haven't seen that movie, I recommend checking it out. It's really neat. But it was a life with humans and robots, you know, it's kind of like, it was just normal though. And so what I'm getting at here is times are getting crazier. The divide between the rich and poor is becoming that much more of a gap, right? Middle class. Imagine 20 years from now what the middle class looks like, right? Maybe not even 20, just 10 years from now what the middle class looks like, right? With how expensive everything is getting. So, rich are the few. That'd be me and you more than likely. We got to figure something out, right? My advice, whatever it is you do, be disciplined. Stick to it, right? Small beginnings, humble beginnings, very powerful, very effective. Think about always stay focused on the end goal, okay? This is very, very important because if you overwhelm yourself with the current circumstances, you might not start. So you have to like trick yourself. First of all, you have to already start something with the frame of mind that you have it in abundance, that you've already achieved it. And I know you've heard this before, but there's a reason why. And it's for a few, I would say it's for more than one reason, but if you can kind of trick your mind into having something and you continue to work towards it gradually, you know, pace yourself, treat it like a marathon, like a jog, like a workout, you can get it, right? Approach certain situations like you are exercising and sharpening your body. It is something that happens over time, which is very counter to what we see today, right? Where everything is a get rich quick scheme. Everything is right now. We can make our life easier. Instead of, you know, if you're a 90s kid or even before the 90s, early 2000s, popping up at your homeboy's or homegirl's house, you can just call them now. All these things that make life far more convenient, and they do, are also the same things that separate us, which is so fascinating to me. So fascinating to me, right? And so I don't know. I just look at the divide and how things are changing, and you got to move with the times and figure out a way to better your current circumstances, because, man, even now as I'm, starting off these walks and really speaking to you guys and just being vulnerable and honest, it's not even easy doing this. Like, I'm saying this and I'm speaking to you, but I'm also speaking to myself, right? I'm living out everything I'm saying, being a man of my word, essentially. As I go into the conversation of feelings, which is very important, I want to say that oftentimes our feelings lie to us. They do, you guys. This is especially true for women. If you're a woman and you've made it this far and you're listening, pay key attention. And I mean this, I say this out of love. Our feelings often lie to us. So we got to be smarter than our feelings, right? And I bring this up because, again, like, oftentimes women, they lead with their feelings, which is the worst thing you can do, Hence, Eve being manipulated and not Adam. And that might sound corny, but there's truth to that. There's truth to a lot of these stories that are ancient, old, if you will, that we should be very aware of. Should I make a left or a right? I always go right. I have a routine, but I don't know. I want to do something a little different. So I'm going to tie us into, I guess I'm going to go to the orange groves this way. So feelings, yeah, ignore them most of the time, right? I can't tell you. Yeah, I mean, if any guy who's been in a long enough relationship with a woman and they left because how she felt, oftentimes men go through heartbreaks, even though the woman just last week told him that she was so in love with him. And I believe, when women do tell us men that they really do love us, but it's in that moment. That's what I had to learn. They love you in that moment, because with them, the next week, the next month, that feeling could fade, which is an immature understanding of what love is, to be completely honest with you. If you don't know, love is it is an action. So it is something that you do despite how you feel. The idea of being in love is very Hollywood. It's a very real feeling, but it levels out. And so you have to know, for my ladies here, that it is, for men too, but again, I just really want the women to understand this, because I know that women do things so much through how they feel, that love is really an ongoing action. And I see that the immature woman is loyal to her feelings. She is loyal to her feelings and how she feels. And so when I talk about feelings for my men and women, most of the time you need to ignore them, especially when you have a goal in mind, right? Especially, I don't know, maybe you're training for something, and you should be able to gauge it. There's times where the body does need rest, right? The mind needs rest. It really does. It needs rest. But if it's not one of those times, forget about how you feel. Remember the goal at hand, right? Remember that goal at hand. You cannot forget that. Never forget the goal. That's what's going to push you. That's what's going to drive you. That's what and that's going to be your fuel right there. That's going to be your fuel. And you're going to use that. And you're going to keep pressing forward, right? You're just going to keep pressing forward. I don't care if it's 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. Sometimes it might be 10. Then the next day it's 1. The goal is to keep pressing forward towards a certain goal to better your circumstances. Always be learning. If you are aging in a healthy way, you will always be learning. You will always be moving with the times while still staying authentic to who you are as a person. I think great examples of this are celebrities who have stayed relevant, even from the 90s and 80s. I don't know, like for example, think about Snoop Dogg or something. Like he's still a relevant name today. There's so many people who aren't. And I'm not big on celebrity culture. The main point here is moving with the times, staying relevant, growing, maturing, while still staying who you are, whomever that may be, right? Whomever that may be. And I would say someone like him are people who are from that area or that era or earlier that are still spoken about. You know, they move with the times. They're always learning, growing, which are very important things and things you should do, because I've seen people who, you know, I mean, people in like 50s, 40s, 60s plus who, you know, just act so childish, and it looks really odd to me. And I don't say nothing, because to each their own, of course. And, you know, I'm from the generation where if you don't have nothing nice to say, don't say it. So I just keep it to myself. By the way, there's a lot of wisdom in keeping things to yourself. Not everything needs to be shown on the internet. Not everything needs to be spoken about, right? Not everything needs to be shown on the internet. Not everything needs to be spoken about. I want to emphasize that, because the generation that we're currently in, you know, with the Gen Zs and millennials, they think that they have to be showing everything on the internet, right? Everything. Look at that house. I kind of like it. And there's just something off about that. It's just really off. You know, so many ridiculous things. But I think, so if you can ignore your feelings, right? Ignore them. In certain situations, I don't want to say completely ignore them, because we have them for a reason. But in most cases, they lie to you. But if we can focus our feelings, I guess is the better way, the better description. And if we can be resilient and disciplined about said goal, which you should always have a goal, especially as a man. Especially as a man. If you don't know, if you're younger and hearing this, the Chris Rock joke is not a complete joke. It is real. And if you don't know, if you're a man, you are loved for what you can provide, right? The only things that are loved unconditionally are children and dogs and women, right? That is just kind of how this thing goes. It's true. Women are born with value. Men, they have to grow and mature and figure it out. This is very important. Very, very important. But this message applies to both, because character is very important, you guys. Character can change your life. Personalities can change your life, right? I mean, personality can get you a solid job, right? Even if you don't even have the skills. Whoever the hiring person is like, you know what, I like him, I like her, so you get the job. Character does that. Beauty also does that. The thing is with beauty though, in most cases, beauty has an end, right? Beauty is fleeting, right? Especially with age. And so at the end of beauty, all you have is your character. And your character is very, very important. Again, I cannot emphasize that enough. And a lot of people lack this today. They really do. They lack it. Yeah, it's crazy times we're living in, man. Crazy, crazy times. I get overwhelmed when I think about these things at times, which is why I'm inviting you guys sort of into my life, into these sort of conversations. Because I just think it's important and people need to hear it. And again, I said this in my last video, but I like to walk a lot, and so I figured I just start in having you guys on my walk while I'm having a message of some sort. Uh-oh. The crows. Think of Game of Thrones. Yeah, character, personality, that stuff. Man, I said this in my last one, but I'm like, think about like, you know, these streamers today, who are the new celebrities, right? Yeah, it's no more like the movies. The idea of the movie stars, damn near gone by this point, right? It's like people are looking at YouTubers and TikTokers, and that's where the money's at. That's where the audience is at. I suggest everyone start a YouTube channel. I don't care what you do something. Maybe you specialize in oranges. Maybe you're like an orange nerd. That'd be really fascinating. I would watch your content. Like, you know everything about oranges. I watched this video the other day. I don't know if this is a fact or not because I'm not an orange expert, but it was like one of those YouTube shorts on fruit. Apparently oranges were a genetically modified fruit, so it's not even a natural fruit. Whomever the orange expert is, please fact check me on that. Let me know if it is or not. But I was like, what? I've been bamboozled my whole life. Always assumed oranges were natural, but apparently they're not. But yeah, start a fruit, like a orange YouTube channel or something, and just kind of grow from there. Just express your thoughts, right? Stick to something. Have something to look back on when you're old. That's the cool thing. I find that to be so fascinating. And you can only do that with things like discipline, right? Yeah, discipline, resilience, ignoring your feelings at times, and gratitude. I just think gratitude is so cool because it's like, when I had watched that video, I'm like, dang, I haven't really done that in a while. So I was like really thanking God for things, you know? Like even the fact that I have this camera, you know, it's something someone doesn't have, but I do, right? I have my legs, I can walk, right? One day I might not be able to walk, so let me take advantage of my walking right now. Approach situations like that. One day I may not have my vision, but I have it right now, so let me use that. You gotta think like that, you guys. You gotta think like that right now. You cannot wait. You cannot afford to wait. Don't ever be too comfortable. Especially when it's time to work. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. Of course, enjoy yourself. You should always enjoy yourself and be comfortable, but don't ever let yourself slip, right? Like, again, especially as a man, always be growing, trying something different, you know. Should we go left, right? I'm gonna keep straight. Progression, and being thankful of things, right? Keep that at the forefront of your mind. Don't let that go. Do not let that go. So many oranges. Haven't walked this direction ever. I would pick some of these right now, but I'm filming. Maybe, yeah. Also too, like if you're working towards something, I want you to know that, like if you're struggling with being shy and stuff like that, just know this. People don't care. People do not care about you. Honestly, look at that. Like, you have to know that when you do things that involve people seeing you or talking to you, like everyone's living their life, right? Everyone is concerned about what they got going on in their life. I'm gonna turn around. So just know that and do your thing. Do your thing, whatever that is. And I think that's all I got for you guys. What do you guys think? What gets you through the day, or what gets you closer to your goals, if any? And if you don't have any goals yet, why not? Are you comfortable where you're at? Do you want to do something or become something better than where you currently are? I'm very interested in these type of conversations, and I would like to know what you guys think of this particular discussion. Please join in on the discussion. I'm actually, eventually, I just say this right now, what I want to do is I want to take a road trip, like a cross-country road trip, and I think at some point I'm going to start putting my PayPal in, hoping you know, you guys can help me do this. But I want to get enough money to drive across the US. I'm based in California, just so you guys know. I'm in Southern California, and I want to drive across the country and back, but I want to do videos like these as I drive across the country and have these conversations and discussions with you. That is one of my current goals. I may bring a friend with me, I may not, but yeah, that is a goal in mind. I think that'll be a lot of fun. You know, we'll be able to see and have new experiences, talk to probably a few people, learn a few things, have even more deeper, cooler conversations. And then once we do that, I want to go to Europe, because I'm planning on going to Europe, and then I want to do these outside of the country, which I think would even be more cool, right? But again, this is going to be a process, but I want to document it because I really want people to see what you can do when you stick to something. I'm very resilient, and I don't like to just say things. I'm very big on taking action. All right, I'm a man of action. I will take action, and so that is the idea that I have in mind. That is something that came to me earlier, and that's something I want to work towards. And I know that I can't do it alone, given my current circumstances. So I am just going to do this each and every day, right? Consistency, discipline, walk that out, live that out, and we are going to go on this journey, make that happen, and eventually be outside of the country and continue these conversations, go deeper and deeper and deeper. So let me know what you guys think of everything. I'd love to hear your 2 cents, and we're just gonna keep this thing going forward. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Later.